I have been doing some research, and that is where this video came from. Critical foods that will be almost impossible to find in an SHTF long-term disaster. What do you really need to be concentrating on? And this is not just a stockpiling video, so don't think it is. This is about what history and what is going on now with our supply chain and conflict around the world tells us are going to be seriously critical or non-existent in an SHTF situation. I'm Nikki. Welcome back to Off Grid Style. Let's find out.
When thinking about disaster preparedness, ensuring a well-rounded and sustainable food supply is very important. When you think about scenarios where access to regular grocery supplies becomes difficult, it becomes imperative to identify and stockpile critical foods that might be impossible to find in a long-term disaster or conflict. In this video, first we are going to look at what scenarios can cause a scarcity in these specific foods. Then we'll take a look at what essential items are most vulnerable and how their scarcity is likely, as well as the crucial role they play in sustaining life during long-term disasters. Historically, various factors have made certain foods vulnerable to scarcity or challenges during long-term disasters, including conflicts and other major disasters and crises. So let's take a look on some of the reasons why specific foods might face difficulties during crises and disasters. The disruption of agricultural practices. Disasters and conflicts often lead to disruptions in agricultural practices. Farmers could be forced to abandon their fields, leading to reduced crop yields and food shortages. Seizure or damage of farmland. Depending on the disaster, government agencies may seize farmland, disrupt agricultural activities, or divert food resources for other use, leaving local populations with limited access to staple foods. Transportation disruptions. All types of disasters can result in damaged infrastructure and transportation networks, making it challenging to transport food from rural areas to urban centers or even between regions. Trade blockades and embargoes. Trade blockades and embargoes can severely limit the import and export of goods, including essential foods. We are dealing with the beginning of a type of blockade right now with the Middle East conflict, and we will see the effects of that on our store shelves if it continues. Loss of labor force. Conflicts and disasters often lead to the displacement of populations, and the loss of a stable labor force can impact agricultural productivity. Farms could be left uncultivated due to the absence of workers. And then there's rationing and food control policies. Governments and other agencies involved in disasters may implement rationing and food control policies to ensure equitable distribution of limited resources. But these measures can lead to reduced availability of certain foods for the general population. Looting and pillaging. During times of disaster, there's a risk of looting and pillaging, which can result in the destruction of food stores and infrastructure, further exacerbating food shortages. And what about the impact on livestock and fisheries? Conflicts and disasters can disrupt traditional livestock rearing and fishing practices. Livestock may be stolen or killed, and fishing activities may be limited due to safety concerns or damaged equipment. So now that we know why some foods will be impossible to find, what foods are most vulnerable? Fresh produce. The health benefits and nutritional value of fresh fruits and vegetables are undeniable. In a prolonged disaster scenario, the lack of refrigeration and transportation infrastructure will make these perishable items nearly impossible to find. Their absence will deprive us of essential vitamins and minerals that are vital for immune function and overall health. Rice will also be in short supply. Between India placing a moratorium on exports of rice and the other issues previously mentioned, rice may be hard to come by in 2024. Dairy products. Milk, cheese, and yogurt are daily staples and, for many, provide crucial calcium and protein. In a long-term disasters, the dairy supply chain, due to its reliance on refrigeration and constant transportation, will result in a scarcity of these nutrient-rich products. Perishable meats. While canned meats offer an alternative, the absence of fresh meat presents challenges in meeting protein needs. In a prolonged disaster, issues with refrigeration, transportation, and livestock maintenance will contribute to the scarcity of fresh meats, impacting both taste and nutrition. This will also impact the availability of canned meats as more people rely on them for protein. Eggs are an affordable and versatile protein source. They are going to become a rarity when disaster happens and disrupts the logistics of poultry farming. The need for refrigeration further exacerbates the challenge, making the once common egg a precious commodity. Bread and bakery goods. The comforting presence of freshly baked bread is likely to diminish in a prolonged disaster. Wheat shortages, transportation disruptions, and the intricate process of baking contribute to the scarcity of this dietary staple. Specialty foods. This includes diabetic diet foods, gluten-free or other allergy-free foods, or baby formula. Due to a limited shelf life, disrupted supply chains, and limited availability of ingredients, these foods may be difficult to find. Fresh seafood. Coastal regions often rely on fresh seafood for protein. The vulnerability of marine ecosystems to environmental changes and the complex supply chain involved in delivering fresh seafood to inland areas makes it a scarce commodity in prolonged disaster. Coffee and tea. For many, the morning can't start until you've had a cup of coffee or tea. But the intricate global supply chains and the impact of a disaster on coffee-growing regions make these caffeinated delights a luxury that might be hard to come by in an extended crisis.
I hope you liked the video. I thought this was a really cool concept and a really cool subject because all we do is talk about stockpiling this and stockpiling that, and it's always the same old things. And this way, it is actually something that is directed at something that you can use right now to figure out what you should be concentrating on. Let me know what you thought. As always, I love to hear from you. Do me a favor and rate this video 1 to 10, 10 being this was great content and I really enjoyed it, 1 being you sucked. Try again. It's fine either way. Let me know what you thought. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.